The thing is, everybody understands my claim. I've said it for 3 weeks at nauseum. Okay.
Right. We all understand your fallacious.
Great. Yeah, sure. It's fallacious. Sure.
Corrupt.
No, it's anybody with any intelligence realizes that the sun cannot be going around somebody in Antarctica and the earth be flat. You mentioned that the ground always being flat, and I agree. I've measured it flat. I've done laser tests. I've done mirror flash observations. No, it's anybody with any intelligence realizes that the sun cannot be going around somebody in Antarctica and the earth be flat. You mentioned that the ground always being flat, and I agree. I've measured it flat. I've done laser tests. I've done mirror flash observations. But I also understand that if you lived, let's just say if, and we're just putting an if out there, if we lived on a gigantic ball, which seems insane to me, but let's just say we did. Well, let's say that we had a Home Depot. We placed a Home Depot on that ball. And we know that everywhere in the Home Depot is flat. Just kind of picture a Home Depot. We know it's all level. If we put a level anywhere on that Home Depot floor, it's going to show level. So now let's picture that the entire world is nothing but a Home Depot, right? So it's a ball Earth, but it's a Home Depot. Well, everywhere on that Home Depot will be flat, okay? So there is no place you would not be able to take a spirit level anywhere in the Home Depot, place it down and say, nope, look, now it's showing curve. Yet I just said that we are on a curved Earth. We're on a ball that's just a gigantic Home Depot. So I think that sometimes we get a little bit ahead of ourselves in thinking that, yeah, okay, we have proven it flat. It is flat. But that's why, for instance, they don't use curvature math when they're doing bridges or when they're doing railroads. Or because if you're going to build a railroad, picture I tell you, hey, we got to go build a railroad tomorrow. You're just going to bring pieces of track and you're going to lay them and connect them to the other piece. And then you're just going to keep doing that as you go along. At no point would you ever even have any idea that the Earth is curved if it were. So measuring curve isn't quite as easy as we might think. At a distance, how would you even go about doing that? I think people have been trying for a long time, and we were really not getting any results. Sometimes they get flat results. Sometimes we'd get varied results. Sometimes with refraction, they're able to bring it back. But those things have never changed my mind because they're not solid evidence, right? Exposed.
I'd rather
or
go
not.
down with the ship, Jeran, than just let go of your pre-indoctrinated begging the question.
Go down with what ship?
Reified model. That's all, dude.
No, you cannot comprehend that if there's a sun that goes around somebody in Antarctica, then the Earth cannot be flat because how did the sun get to Australia?
I want to break down some of the things that was said yesterday and also some of the things Jeran is saying on his show today. I'm disappointed because it's like, dang, all of his followers are going to become globalists too. I just peeped that in his chat room. Yeah. I learned something about YouTube. A lot of people are flat earthers because their favorite YouTuber is a flat earth. They didn't really do no homework themselves. So whatever that person say, they'll just change their mind. But I'm going to break this down and show you what's crazy, right? Let's break down the clip that I'm playing right here about Jeran's new model is a Home Depot on top of a spear. I can't make this up. I can't make it up. But let's play some stuff to show you some hypocrisies.
Ahead of ourselves and thinking that, yeah, okay, we have proven it flat. It is flat. But that's why, for instance, they don't use curvature math when they're doing bridges or when they're doing.
Now, out of Jeran's own mouth, guess what he said? He said that he's proven the Earth flat. He's done the measurements. Let me play that back real quick because I'm going to walk this down.
Mentioned that the ground always being flat, and I agree. I've measured it flat. I've done laser tests. I've done mirror flash observations. No,
you see what I'm saying? So he know that the Earth is flat, but here's my point. Let's go to this part right here. This is where it gets interesting.
Sometimes we get a little bit ahead of ourselves in thinking that, yeah, okay, we have proven it flat. It is flat. But that's why, for instance, they don't use curvature math when they're doing bridges or when they're.
You know why they don't use curvature math when they doing bridges? Because it ain't no curvature. You know how we know it ain't no curvature? You just said you did all experiments to prove that it's flat. So to me, this is real dumb, man. Jeran is saying the reason they don't use curvature math is because if the Earth is a big old ball, then they just gonna be laying train tracks. They would never even know they on a big ball. He's making a big ball argument, y'all. Everybody in flat earth is familiar with, hey man, the earth too big argument. He's now become a big ball earther. Oh my God. This man went from being an OG in a flat earth community to being a foot soldier, big ball earther. This is crazy, man. I wonder how much he really got paid. This is interesting. Let me see something.
Or when they're doing railroads, or because if you're going to build a railroad, picture I tell you, hey, we got to go build a railroad tomorrow. You're just going to bring pieces of track and you're going to lay them and connect them to the other piece, and then you're just going to keep doing that as you go along. At no point would you ever even have any idea that the Earth is curved.
You know what's crazy? That's crazy. The man just said he did an experiment to prove that it's flat, though. And that would explain why they don't need to use curvature math. Because it's flat. Duh.
Stupid.
Check it out.
Be flat. You mentioned that the ground always being flat, and I agree. I've measured it flat. I've done laser tests. I've done mirror flash observations. No, it's anybody.
So, Jeran, that answers your question. Why they don't use curvature math when they doing railroad tracks? Because there's no curvature. It's flat. Oh my God, Jeran, how much did they? Damn, this is crazy. Let's break this down.
The thing is, everybody understands my claim. I've said it for 3 weeks at nauseum. Okay,
right? We all understand your fallacious.
Great, yeah, sure, it's fallacious. Sure,
corrupt.
No, it's anybody with any intelligence realizes that the sun cannot be going around somebody in Antarctica and the Earth be flat. You mentioned that the ground always being flat, and I agree. I've measured it flat. I've done laser tests. I've done mirror flash observations. No, it's
now let me explain something to you about this hypocrisy, right? Anybody with common sense, I'm going to use Jeran's words, will know that you don't abandon mathematic, tangible measurements for a mysterious observation that neither side can fully explain. Because let's say that the sun is 24 hours in Antarctica. The question flat earthers got to ask, what Jeran been asking for years, is it 93 million miles away? See, if Jeran say, I observed the sun doing what the globalists said, so we on a globe. Guess what I can say? I observe clouds in front of the sun and behind it, so it must be close, and it must not be 93 million miles away, so it must be a flat earth. We can play the I observe game all day. But the question is, do the flat earthers observe curvature? If they don't, they got to keep saying it's flat based upon your own measurements, Jeran. I will always take a man's measurements over his observations and theories. Just because we observe something and we say, well, I have a model that can explain it, don't mean your model is reality. You see what I'm saying? A computer program can explain many things away. You can run a simulation right now and say, give me 1 million explanations for COVID-19. And the AI generates you 1 million explanations that'll be like, okay. But does that mean they're reality? They're just they're a model that explains an observation. That doesn't prove the model. It just says, hey, that's a valid explanation. And if there are other valid explanations, but contradicting models, now we're in trouble. See the problem with using that kind of logic? And how do we not fall into that problem? Just stick to, if you're trying to prove something, prove that thing. And don't try to prove that thing by observing something else. Because if I go outside with a ruler and measurement, math, and I measure that the earth is flat for myself, there aren't going to be any observations and theories that's going to make me go against my measurements. That's concrete right there. That's concrete experimentation. And I will never abandon my failed experimentation for just a mere observation. Because my observation ain't going to change the fact that I'm still gonna go out there and measure it flat, Jack. Like, my observation of what the sun doing ain't gonna change all of that equipment that he just named. His laser that he used, his mirror. All of that ain't lying. You think that stuff is a lie now because the sun did something. The sun did one little thing that I can't explain and that I didn't predict on my little model. That, to me, that's ego. If that's where you coming from, that is some serious ego issues. Because all a man got to say is, I had a model. First of all, this is what Jeran need to say. I thought the earth was flat. I adopted the AE map as my model of the flat earth. And then I came with a theory on how the sun work above the flat earth. And now I found out that the sun don't exactly do everything I thought it do. So let me go back and figure this out. What exactly is the sun doing over what? My flat earth. Now, why would you take that approach? Because what the sun doing ain't got nothing to do with what the ground doing. I mean, I can't repeat this enough. What the sun doing ain't got nothing to do with what Jeran's measurements and tools and lasers and rulers and all that doing when he went out there and measured it flat. So what I want Jeran to do is when he come back from Antarctica, if he see a 24-hour sun, I want him to redo his measurements and see did it change the shape of the earth. I want him to get his laser back out and see now after his Antarctic trip, if he observe a 24-hour sun, does it change his measurements and his tangible, solid, concrete proof? Just saying. Just saying. And that's the silliness of what's going on right now. See, my thing with Jeran is he's saying, I couldn't make the sun work on my model. And I'm going to be honest, Jeran kind of already speaking defeated. He's speaking as if he knows he's going to see a 24-hour sun. And my thing is, he didn't make it work on an AE map. And he says that, well, you know, us flat earthers don't have a model that can explain a 24-hour sun, but he never tried it on all of them. Oh, yeah, he said if he see a 24-hour sun, it's a globe earth. It's not flat, and he's going to come back and say that. And I'm going to say that when that happened, it's going to be on the news. It's going to be on TV. I'm finna give y'all my prophecy. This stream finna give y'all a lot of insight on what I'm telling you finna happen, right? What's finna happen is this. I'm going to give y'all a couple scenarios, right? Scenario A is the one that I think is not going to happen at all, right? Is that, well, I don't know which one of these going to happen. Now, I'm like Jeran. I don't believe there's a 24-hour sun. But unlike Jeran, I don't think that debunked the shape of the earth at all. I just think that the flat earthers will have to go back to the drawing board and say, man, how does the sun work on any one of these flat earth models? Because we only tried it on the AE map, and I shouldn't say we, Jeran only tried it on the AE map and then said, hey, we don't have nothing to make it work, so it ain't flat. And I'm like, wait a minute, you measured it flat. That observation or lack thereof doesn't change your measurements, buddy. What are you talking about here? You know what I'm saying? So the whole Home Depot thing was crazy because he used that to get around the fact that his measurements are not going to change. See, let me show you the kind of shilling what I'm talking about. I'm not misusing the word shill here, and I'm not throwing this man under the bus. I'm speaking from the hardest shill type behavior, and I'm embarrassed because Eric DeBay been calling it out, and I never had problems with Eric DeBay, but I've always just said, hey, I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to deal with everybody. Now I see why Eric DeBay never really dealt with me, because Eric DeBay probably looked at me like, oh, he with Jeran them and he'll shield too. You know what I'm saying? So salutes to Eric DeBay. I'm going to always speak positive of him and because he never said nothing negative about me. But I just hope that he see my videos and realize, hey man, I agree if you're with everything you saying right now about this final experiment and what Jeran doing. And Jeran can be mad all he want to, because Jeran don't care if I get mad about him going to Antarctica shilling. And what is shilling? It's saying that the earth is a ball because the sun did this or did that or did that, which is just not true. Regardless of what the sun do, his measurements ain't gonna change. Oh, wait a minute, yo. We got Z on the call right now, man. What's good, yo? Yo, man, what's good?
What's up, bro, Sanchez? How's my audio?
Your audio is loud and clear, man. Listen, I feel your pain, bro.
So, how much of that debate did you get to watch? Did you see the whole thing, or?
You know what? I saw up until the point where he was talking about, where you was telling him this part right here, where you was saying.
The thing is, everybody understands my claim. I've said it for 3 weeks at nauseum.
This right here.
Okay.
Right. We all understand your fallacious.
Great. Yeah, sure. It's fallacious.
And I said to myself, I said, listen, I got to go live, and then I because it was triggering me, and that's why, and I just went live right after this part right here. But yeah, if you want to fill us in, I'm gonna mute up. We got time today. Take your time, and let's. This is a crazy time for Flat Earth, man. Real talk.
It really is, man. So we can go in so many places. What I'll just start off is saying with this, I wanted to debate Jeran today, and we did, regarding a very specific claim that he is making. His claim is that a 24-hour circling Antarctic sun debunks the flat Earth and says specifically that a flat Earth is not possible under that observed condition. I refute that claim, and that was the basis of our conversation today. So we can go anywhere you want with it from there, man. And it's a big deal, man. And I hesitate to conjecture into Jeran's mindset, into his psychology, into his emotional state. But I will say that certainly his reasoning and his logic is hopelessly flawed. And that's what I choose to focus on, and his flawed logic and his aberrant reasoning. And, I could only conjecture on why he can't see certain things, but, there's a big problem in his reasoning, as you've been pointing out. And I only seen a little bit of your stream today, and I didn't get to catch your stream last night. But my question is, how can somebody's belief in a reified, begging the question model of a flat Earth be more important than the actual physics of this world? Because what he seems to not understand is that there's a big difference between the optical world that we view through our visual acuity and the physical world that we inhabit, that could be demonstrated practically, that shows itself physically. So this is the big issue that I have with his reasoning. In particular, the idea that there is not a one-to-one relationship with our observation of the sun. So if you view the sun from multiple locations on this earth, you find out very quickly, regardless if one ascribes to a globe model or a flat earth model, that you cannot have a linear relationship with your perception of the sun. Okay? Now, the mechanism behind that, we can conjecture, whether it's due to perspective, whether it's due to multiple suns, or like I said to Jeran, whether it's due to unicorn farts.
Mm-hmm.
Either way you look at the celestial data that we have, there's not a one-to-one linear relationship between what we see and the sun. So to say that some observation in Antarctica of the sun in some way invalidates or debunks the flat earth is completely fallacious.
Jeran, out of his own mouth, said, we know the earth is flat. I've proven it flat. I've done measurements. He said that to me out of his mouth. I clipped it in the video. And my thing was, an observation of what the sun doing in Antarctica won't make water all of a sudden ball up and hold the shape of a curve and debunk the measurements in your test and your field research, Jeran. Like, and that's basically what I was saying, was that if we find out that the sun is 24 hours in Antarctica, then the honest thing for Jeran to do would say, hey, I'm wrong about how I thought the sun worked over a flat earth. But however, it's still a flat earth until they show me the curvature, right? I don't care what the sun doing. I care what the ground is doing, right? Because that's the basis of the conversation, what the ground is doing. And so Jeran seemed to ignore what the ground is doing, even though he's done several experiments, several projects to debunk the fact that it's not curving. He'll ignore all of that just because one observation. And I'm saying, every man knows I'm not going to argue with my tape measure over a fucking observation and a belief and a theory. Like, numbers don't lie. You feel me?
Measure. That was the operative word. You just said measure. The celestial objects that we view in the sky cannot be measured. By definition, they could only be observed. But what can be measured? The physical world that we inhabit.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the earth is measured flat, navigated flat, engineered flat, aviated flat. We know that practical demonstration shows a level horizontal topographical plane, one in which oceans do not convex around a spinning globe. This can be substantiated and validated. The optics of the sky cannot. They can only be conjectured. So why would we disregard the measured earth, an earth that runs off Euclidean geometry, that is based on the ideas of plumb and level, perpendicular and parallel?
Mm-hmm.
Why would we disregard the substantial earth for the illusory optics of the sky? So I would agree with you. It's a completely fallacious line of thinking that I felt as though needed to be pointed out. And I feel as though I did so.
Yeah, you did, man. And I appreciate you. Now, Z, you said you didn't get a chance to watch my show. I'll give you some funny stuff, right? Jeran thinks we live inside of a huge Home Depot that's sitting on top of a ball.
I heard him say that.
Yeah.
He was saying the example is no matter where you go, the level's going to, show level, which is funny because that's a torpedo level. What about a spirit level? What about all the long distance observations that evidence a level Earth? What about electromagnetic propagation, hundreds of miles that would be impossible on a curved Earth? What about the Navy's railgun that shoots 100 nautical miles line of sight, which debunks the globe on its face? What about the Nile River, which is a 4,000-mile river that from its beginning to its end only descends 3/4 of a mile? How can that possibly exist on a globe where they say the center of gravity is the center of the Earth? It means that for 2,000 miles of the Nile, it would need to flow up against gravity to the tune of hundreds of miles. It goes to the point with Bro and I and others like us are saying, the world is demonstrably flat, call it level, call it whatever you want, based off applied physics and practical demonstration. So to use an argument regarding the optics of the celestial bodies is a completely fallacious line of reasoning, and it has to be called out.
I think Jake teaches that everyone sees their own sun, like in their head or something.
What you guys are talking about, if you look at the celestial data, the point is that it doesn't match up as a one-to-one relationship. I'm going to give you an example, okay? If it's December 21st, which is the summer solstice in the south, if you're down all the way on the bottom of the South America, below the Tropic of Capricorn, you will see the sun rise not just to the east, but to the southeast. I want you to think about the implications there. And it will also set in the southwest. If you have a flat earth model with the sun circling and it comes on the summer solstice in the south down to the Tropic of Capricorn, but you're viewing it still south of that. My point is this: it's not a one-to-one relationship with the sun and the multiple viewers around the world. There's other factors that have to be put in there. Factors that people promoting the FE model with the rotating sun have conveniently left out because it doesn't match the model that they believe in. You have to incorporate either perspective, multiple suns, or the possibility of another model. You have to incorporate those things. It's not a one-to-one relationship. So Jake the asshole is actually right. Now, it doesn't mean you have to throw away the AE model. It just means that there's other factors that need to be accounted for. What Jeran's doing, he's not accounting for any of those factors. He's saying if the observations of the sun don't match my pre-indoctrinated, reified, begging the question model, then I'm going to throw out the entire flat earth. It's completely fallacious reasoning. I want to go back to what you said about Will Duffy and the final experiment and maybe give some information that your listeners may not know. Now, Will Duffy is associated with a man named Bob Enyard. Will Duffy, the church that Will Duffy now runs as a pastor, was originally under a man's name of Bob Enyard. Bob Enyard has now passed away, and Will Duffy now is in charge of his church. Will Duffy has been admittedly associated with Bob Enyard for a very long time. Bob Enyard has a radio program / podcast when he was alive. In 2018, when Flat Earth was jumping, Bob Enyard was consistently talking about Flat Earth on his podcast and how absurd it was and was trying to debunk it. He did a fundraiser because he wanted to raise a couple $100,000 to send a flat earther up on either the Blue Origin or whatever they got going up there, supposedly 62 miles above the earth, supposedly, with, Bezos and the other guy, these things that like Michael Strahan went up in apparently, and Shatner. Here's my point. Will Duffy, the person who is basically leading this final experiment and financing it, says that he didn't hear about Flat Earth until 2021 when one of his parishioners happened to mention it, and it got him thinking about it. But in reality, his close associate, Bob Enyard, was actively looking to debunk and disprove the Flat Earth in 2018, a time period where Will Duffy was intimately associated with this man. So it begs the question, was 2020 or 2021 the first time that Will Duffy randomly heard about the Flat Earth, or has he known about it for years prior, lied to the Flat Earth community, presented it as he's just a questioning person? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. What I'm alleging is that Bob Enyard, his close associate, knew about the Flat Earth, and he was trying to raise money for his version of the final experiment. This is only the new final experiment that Will Duffy has taken over and adopted and changed it to this trip to Antarctica. So what does that tell you, bro Sanchez? I'll tell you what it tells me. They've been planning this for a long time. And I conjecture that it is not these two generous Christians who just want to know the truth. I conjecture that there is something behind this, whatever you want to call it. Let your imagination run wild. I will not give my opinion. And for whatever reason, our apparently most prominent flat earther, Jeran, is walking right into another trap, no different than what we saw from Behind the Curve, that Netflix debacle.
To this person in the chat room named God Carl, none of us ain't turning on Jeran. Jeran the one saying that the earth is a globe now and that it's a fucking Home Depot. Ain't none of us changed, nigga. I'm still saying it's flat motherfucking power. What about you, dog?
We suck.
Dude, like, I don't know. Niggas, I'm watching the same shit unfold. Me and Jeran disagreed about the AE map one time. That was it. We clashed on it, but I never called.
I wasn't saying you, Sanchez, the other yesterday.
I know it, but I'm just saying though. I told Jeran that to his face. I said, bro, when you keep saying, because Jeran was like, well, that debunks our model. I was like, that ain't Jake model. What do you mean our model? Like, that ain't fair to other people who don't subscribe to your what you teaching and it's your stuff. He said on my show, he said on my show, like, I've been teaching this for 9 years. So say to Pastor Duffy, y'all debunk my teachings, not the flat earth. But my whole thing though, with this is that a person said I'm lying on Jeran. I'm gonna say this again, and I'm gonna show receipts. Jeran said we live on a globe. He said that. I'm not lying on him. He said, and that globe has a Home Depot on top of it, and we live in the Home Depot, but we live on a globe. I'm not putting words. Let me play this shit back. I don't know if y'all got personality worship or something, but I interviewed the man. How y'all gonna tell me what he said?
If you lived, let's just say if, and we're just putting an if out there, if we lived on a gigantic ball, which seems insane to me, but let's just say we did. Well, let's say that we had a Home Depot, we placed a Home Depot on that ball, and we know that everywhere in the Home Depot is flat. Just kind of picture a Home Depot. We know it's all level. If we put a level anywhere on that Home Depot floor, it's going to show level. So now let's picture that the entire world is nothing but a Home Depot, right? So it's a ball earth, but it's a Home Depot. Well, everywhere on that Home Depot will be flat, okay? So there is no place you would not be able to take a spirit level anywhere in the Home Depot, place it down and say, nope, look, now it's showing curve. Yet I just said that we are on a curved earth. We're on a ball that's just a gigantic Home Depot. So I think that sometimes we get a little bit ahead of ourselves in thinking that, yeah, okay, we have proven it flat. It is flat, but that's why, for instance, they don't use curvature math when they're doing bridges or when they're doing railroads, or because if you're going to build a railroad, picture I tell you, hey, we got to go build a railroad tomorrow. You're just going to bring pieces of track and you're going to lay them and connect them to the other piece, and then you're just going to keep doing that as you go along. At no point would you ever even have any idea that the Earth is curved if it were. So measuring curve isn't quite as easy as we might think. At a distance, how would you even go about doing that? I think people have been trying for a long time, and we were really not getting any results. Sometimes they get flat results. Sometimes we get varied results. Sometimes with refraction, they're able to bring it back. But those things have never changed my mind because they're not solid evidence, right?
So now my thing is this right here, right? He said, I have a model. I understand that there's a flaw in it that can be exposed. Jeran, it sounded like he already was saving this flaw in his back pocket. Like, I know this right here is something that can debunk this model, but instead of me trying to figure out what worked, I'm going to use it as a hit piece for when the money is right one day. Instead of me trying to honestly figure out and say, hey, my shit don't work on my model, y'all. The earth flat, but we got to figure this sun thing out. Come on, let's have a think tank.
Well, right. And Sanchez, yes,
he wanted to sell out right away.
Right.
As soon as that check hit.
His thing is straight up, oh, it's a globe again. Like, that's too quick, bro. Something ain't right about that. He don't believe what he talking about, the globe earth. He know the earth is flat. He just he's being paid. It's like he already got his mind up for them to see a sun and for him. And I'm going to tell you what my theory A was, and I'm going to give y'all several theories throughout the show. I think they're going to come back and guess what? They're going to say, we saw a 24-hour sun, guys. I'm sorry. And Jared is going to fucking be so, listen to me, y'all. I'm not exaggerating. Jeran is about to be very popular. Let me say that. And I'm going to tell you something right now. The footage that they come back with is going to be the best faked footage we ever saw because like Jeran said, we always see these 24-hour suns and they're fake, right? And I think that with all the money Mr. Duffy got, just like with NASA, they can make the ultimate fake 24-hour sun video. And guess what Jeran gonna say? This one's real. I stand by it. I'm no longer a flat earther. Fuck what you're saying. And anyone else that's still a flat earther at this point is just dangerous because you're just refusing all of that. He's finna be like their man. And it's gonna be like, because what do the enemy to the truth want? He want one of your own to turn against it like Judas. Like Judas. You see, just like that dude in the Matrix that ate the steak is what I'm saying, because ain't no way Jared can go to this simple little observation gonna make him throw all of this out what I'm about to show right now. You know how you become like Jared, right? You realize the truth and you say to yourself, but the truth ain't really benefiting me. I'm gonna pull this dude, what was his name? Cyrus in the Matrix, y'all, the steak eater. What led this dude to turn on the truth? He knew he was in a fake act. They was telling him a lie about his reality. He knew the truth about what the world was. But you know what? People that don't value the truth because everything is about $1 for them, man. Like some people just can't understand that there are some things that fuck the money, man. Integrity, like honesty. And if somebody be like, well, what's that's gonna get me? Because you got to think about how a person gonna think. I've thought about it several nights. I'm only human. I said, look, man, when I had the lie, I actually had more people on my side. I was part of the masses. I had more support even. I have to argue every day now. I'm not gonna act like the truth made my life better, like on a physical level. On a spiritual level, it did. It made my fear of death go away. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. Me understanding the truth about my reality has really empowered me in a way that I just can't explain, not to try to sound vague or spiritual or nothing. I'm just saying the truth really will set you free, but it never said it'll make you a billionaire. My thing is, if your concept of value is only in monetary means, you will be holding the truth in your hand and say, this shit ain't worth no money. And you would ask yourself, what can I do with this truth to get me some money? And you would do with it what Jeran doing with it. I'm going to keep giving it to people who need it, waking them up. Fuck the money. Fuck the bullshit. And I'm going to tell you something. The mind of this dude right here that's eating that steak, this is a guy that found out the truth and didn't value it. He valued a steak more than the fucking truth. He valued a house, a car, some money more than the thing that'll set your soul free. You know why? Because a person like Jeran do not believe that there's any spiritual implications for morality. They don't think that when you do wrong, something happen to you or that there's. So just think about it. If in your mind you're convinced yourself ain't no God, in a fake ass matrix where they lying to me about where I'm at, I know the truth. Ain't no real repercussions for good or bad, then that'll lead a person to say, shit, do what thou wilt. Aleister Crowley type shit like, hey man, fuck the truth. Like the truth's supposed to make you a better person, not a rich person. But if you don't value, right, character, like morality and shit like that, see, that's this dude right here is the very spin image of a person that just don't find value in the truth. I don't know what else to say, man. Like, that's the only difference. Think about what I can do right now. I can go to Neil deGrasse Tyson, Science Talks. I can even hit up Professor Dave, one of these big Globe channels, and I can say, hey, man, I got a business deal for you. If you cut the check, I'll go on your show because I'm a big flat earther, right? You can check my channel, dude. I'm a big dog on a flat earth. And if you pay me enough, I'll go on your channel and say it's a globe. I'll say I was wrong. I'll let you embarrass me. And we got to come up with some kind of experiment because listen, how do you sell the truth? My truth is flat earth. But if I'm saying this shit ain't making me no money, what can I do with this truth now that I'm stuck with? Because I done made my whole image around this shit. You just don't go back to work. You're the dumb flat earther that was on the news and all of that. So my thing is like, what do I do with this burden that I'm calling the truth? See, some people see the truth as a burden. They see it as something that I possess that I thought I can flip for some money, but I found out it was a bad investment. So I'm hoping somebody will just buy this truth from me so I don't lose out when you've gained everything with that truth and you don't know what you got and you about to sell your soul. And my thing is, that's what I'm saying. I'm just speaking my heart. Jeran can get mad all he want at this point. I don't care about Jeran's feelings because he don't care about ours. He's saying that this debunks the ground that we walk on, and he know that's a lie. Jeran said there is no curvature on this earth. Now Jeran said it's just big. He making the big earth argument like the Globies. He's saying it's just a big ball, but see, there's a Home Depot at the top, and we live in the screwdriver section, right? Right by the doggone wood cutters and all that, right? So my thing is this right here, Jeran. It's shilly behavior because when you get back from Antarctica, if you see a 24-hour sun, it won't change this experiment. That's the part where people got to say we're not turning on Jeran. Dude, I don't have a friendship with a multi-million-dollar globe earther pastor that's been trying to debunk flat earth for years. I don't have a friendship with that guy. When his Bible say it's flat, like y'all better use your head. Let me tell you something right now, right? See, because Jeran is saying we don't have a model that can show what the sun does in Antarctica. But the globalists don't got a model that can show curvature. And you did an experiment to prove it. So you can't say because we don't see the sun do something in Antarctica, it proves their model when they never proved their model and rebutted this experiment that you did, Jeran. Jeran done several experiments that debunked the curvature. And no globalist have ever came and tried to rebuttal those experiments. And he just gonna automatically give them a free out and say, well, look, if we see a 24-hour sun, it's a ball now. You don't go from stuff like this to what he's saying now unless, hey, somebody hit your ass in the head with a baseball bat and you done lost your damn mind or somebody paid you off. It's simple. I'm not gonna play with Jeran. I tried to, but when I slept on it, dude, I don't got to come up here and just be disrespecting you, but I'm going to speak my heart and say what I think about the situation. It stinks. Situation stinks. Some don't smell right about this. And for flat earthers that's condoning it with Jeran, shame on y'all, man. It's a hypocrisy because we've always said on a flat earth that what's happening in the sky phenomena doesn't prove what we walking on the ground. That's like the first rule of flat earth, and we will break it because we like somebody so much. I said at Sacred Knowledge, I was like, look, I'm in an alternate reality, but you know what though? Just because a person good at proving the earth is flat don't mean they good at having integrity and honesty and standing for something more than money. Hey man, I mean, we gotta think he went to a Jesuit school. How many of us can say that? That's a red flag too. Man, Jeran is about to team up with McToon, Professor Dave, Fight the Flatter. He's about to be like their golden child. He's gonna be like the fucking Christ for the globe earth community, because he's gonna be the ex-flat earther that's telling these flatties you're wrong and you're dumb, and he's gonna be able to say, and I'm the one taught you, so you know that I know what I'm talking. This is the play. This is my theory. And that they had to pay him a lot for this. And when you talk about how Christ must have felt when Judas betrayed him, God damn. And because I'm gonna tell you something right now. If y'all see a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, would a globalist still explain to me how is it 93 million miles away if there's clouds in front of it and behind it? That ain't gonna change. See, all of the observations that Jeran used to say, he gonna throw them all out the door just because we saw a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, which that to me is something interesting. I would start thinking about second suns, sun simulators, all kind of deep shit. But Jeran would be like, oh, that's crazy. How is that crazy? That's the same thing people saying about flat earth. How is the idea of, if you talk about people that we all agree can fake weather, you're not going to tell me that Hurricane Katrina was a natural disaster. These people have faked big earthquakes on the West Coast and hurricanes. They got, Tesla talked about technology that if any person, any nation had it, they would damn near have the power of God. My thing is that for the mindset that can't be true, that ain't a flat earth mindset. That ain't the question everything, prove all things that we know we push. That's automatically, I'm going to shoot it down. That can't be right. All of these other things got to be wrong off the bat. But the idea of us being on a globe, that's the one. Now that makes the most sense. We on a globe. Water balls up and it holds the shape of a ball, even though Jeran did this experiment right here. Flat earthers will sit up there and crucify a globalist for saying, the earth's so big, that's why you can't tell it's a ball. And we laugh, we criticize them, we ridicule them. The big earth argument is what I call it. But Jeran, one of our own, can come out and make that same argument and people will say, give them the benefit of the doubt. Come on, man, y'all hang on Jeran. Oh, man, and I'm like, wow, that's so hypocritical. If a globalist came on my show right now and said, listen, guys, we live on a huge ball. You just can't tell it's a ball because it's big. Don't let the globalists say that we live in a big Home Depot. That's going to really get that globalist laughed at. But Jeran can say stuff like that. This a religion at this point. I thought people was following flat earth because they was proving it for themselves, not because they was liking the individual who told them it's flat. And that's what it seemed like. Because if Jeran can get away with saying the earth is a big ball, that's why we don't see the curvature, then you shouldn't try to debate no more globe earthers, you flat earther. Leave the globalists alone, because you ain't messing with Jeran. If a globalist say, man, it is a globe, it's just big, too big for you to see the curve, leave them alone, because that's what Jeran's saying, and you ain't messing with him. You can't have double standards. I'm going to keep it real. I think about all the globalists I ridicule for saying that, and so I said, you know what? I'm going to go live and criticize Jeran for it. I'm not going to have no favoritism. I've set my ass on here and went in on globalists for saying some of the stuff Jeran's saying. So here go my video, this just to be fair for all those globalists and say I'm not going to let a flat earther get away with it either. Or a so-called flat earther. If you got to prove flat earth with anything else, you ain't a real flat earther to me. If you can't see that you ain't walking on the curve, you ain't a real flat earther. So, like, it's a lot of flat earthers. They're a flat earther because the Bible said it. They're a flat earther because Sanchez said it's flat. But if you don't know how it's flat and can prove it to yourself with any kind of experiment on your own outside, like in your house, you ain't a real flat earther, man. I'm sorry to tell you that. And it's about the curvature, nothing else. All you got to do is debunk the curve and you're a real flat earther. If you know how to do it verbally, if you understand how we ain't on a globe in your mind, you're a real flat earther. But if you don't understand that and you just saying it's flat because I like him, it's flat because he get a lot of views, it's flat because whatever other dumb shit the Bible said is flat or whatever, then you don't really know it's flat, man. You're a flat earth believer. And I don't like flat earth believers because they one day away from being a globe earther.